What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I'm your host, Jimmy Smith, and I hope you're all having yourselves a fantastic day. It's Tuesday, a little after 7:30 here. Going to drop this as soon as I possibly can. A little bit busy today. Turned into an old man. I'm 40. 40! I'm just happy I made it here, but I appreciate you all tuning in. This draft series will not stop, though. Every other day, I'm going to try to drop one of these. We went through quarterback, running back, wide receivers. Go check those out. But we've got the tight ends tonight in a very important position for the Philadelphia Eagles. So thank you for taking the time and the like button, sharing, subscribing, all the things you're doing to support the channel. I cannot thank you enough. But let's jump right into this. Let's take a look at the Eagles, draft capital that they have over the next couple of years. We've got 9 picks this draft, 7 in the next, and then 7 the following, obviously. But you can trade up to 3 years. So you actually have 23 picks that you can move around with. So you know how he's going to be going up, down, all around. And this year we've got 4 picks in that top 100. So, yeah. Now, this is one of those positions where I think the Eagles could definitely look in the, that top 100 range looking for a tight end. And, well, this is one of my favorite classes in a while. I really like a lot of these guys. And right now, we brought back Dallas Goedert. We brought back Grant Calcaterra. We signed Johnny Munt and Stone Smart. Cameron Ledoux still here. And then Jenkins and Bell were brought back on futures contracts. Kylan Granson went to the Titans, but there's not really a clear answer for the future. So you signed a blocking, you signed a receiving tight end. So I think, you're adding depth pieces, but who is going to be the future? I'd like to see somebody drafted to be the replacement for Dallas Goedert before he's gone, just like with Zach Ertz. So that's what we're going to talk about here tonight. We're going to take a look at all of the tight ends in this draft. I'm going to give you my rankings and how I have them tiered out and which rounds. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I fell in love with a lot of these tight ends. There's obviously the big names that people are talking about, and I like a lot of those guys too. But I really had a struggle. We talked about it with receivers, picking a top 5. I'm giving you 11, and I made a graphic for each of them. I like a lot of these guys, and I could have made 27 of them. There's just a lot of talent here throughout this draft. So let's get it started, and let's take a look. And obviously, to start it off, Kenyon Sadiq, to me, could definitely be a first-rounder, but I'm not so sure that he's this, surefire, has to be top 10 kind of pick. I've seen crazier things happen. I could see him maybe falling into the second round. He's still got a lot of work to do, and I don't know that, I know he's a good receiver, but as a tight end, he is a decent blocker. I don't think he's horrible, but I'm not going to give him like he's this generational, next Brock Bowers kind of guy, well, not Bowers, but Kyle Pitts maybe, whatever people are saying. I just think a lot of talent there, and I like him, but wouldn't be surprised if he falls a little bit further than people think. And then after, Sadiq, I think really Max Clare, Eli Stowers, both these guys, I have in a 2 to 3 range, but if somebody thinks they're better and they want to take them in the first round, okay. And I think more so the second round, but depending on what happens with Sadiq, we'll see if these guys would fall into the third round. But I think they're the next best, so that's kind of why they have their own tier. And then I made a 3rd to 5th round where, man, it really depends on what you're looking for here. And you've got a lot of really impressive guys here. Trigg and Jolie, that, players that I'm just going to tell you right now, they're not on my top fits. And, more so they've got good receiving ability, could work on their blocking. There's so many things. Tanner Kozio, he is not. Brett Norfleet, Bentley, all these guys, Klein, Delp, there's a lot of really talented players. And honestly, any person on this list right here, with, depending on where you're taking them, I would be okay with it because I like a lot of these guys and what they bring to the table. You'll see in my top fits why I chose certain guys, but I really had a hard time cutting some of these guys off the list, and then I just kept adding. I was like, okay, I'll go 6, and then I was like, well, I want to have this guy, but I want to talk about this guy, and it just drove me crazy. And even going into the later rounds where, end of the draft, undrafted pool, I think you can find some guys there too. And, whether you're looking at Cuevas or Borkshire, damn, John Michael Gillenborg there, Dinkins, Hibner, Rogers, all these guys, honestly, I'd be excited about. And you've got guys, Borkshire and Nowakowski there, Bredesen, a lot of Kanak, guys that could play fullback as well, versatile pieces. So we're going to talk about some of them. But that's how I have the tight ends that I looked at, ranked, tiered out. Let me know where you have these guys. Do you feel a certain way about somebody or where they're at? Whatever's on your mind, love to hear from you. But we're going to jump right into my top fits. And we're starting it off with one of those hybrid players. And I really like this kid's game. I'm a fan of Jaron Kanak here, but I think that obviously 6'2", 234, a little bit small for a tight end, right? But he's got 4.52 speed. We like that. He's got really good hands. I think he is a good receiver and a decent blocker too. And obviously you're going to want that. But he's one of those guys where they talked about him having like 4.4 speed during the game. Like if you just watch him, I just really feel like this dude, he's just a fun little bowling ball. And he's great at tracking the ball. He's not just like a running back. He actually is good at catching the ball. Didn't have any drops here. So I think that this kid, when you look at his skill set and his versatility, is a good thing. Think of, a use check, somebody that you could line up as that H-back, somebody that can play fullback, inline tight end, and move them all over the place. I think he's really fun to watch, and he runs tough. So I get it. Probably not going to be so much, one of the better tight ends in the game, and he's not the greatest at blocking, so it's not really like, oh, just put him at fullback. But I really think he's a good football player. And if this is someone that goes undrafted, maybe, you acquire a 7th-round pick and you want to take a shot on somebody that comes in and competes with Carson Steele and Cameron Latou. Maybe you bring back Ben Van Sumen to compete with him. Whatever it may be, bring it on. I wouldn't be against it. Now up next, well, got another one of these hybrid guys where I think Borkshire here, this dude's a little more fun, a little more of a tight end, 6'6", 245 pounds. That's a big-ass dude, and he's got some big-ass hands. And I think, he is somebody that is much better at blocking, and I think that you could definitely move him. He violently blocks people, and I think he's pretty good at catching the ball too. He's got a high football IQ, and he's another one of those guys that you could just move around, put him in that H-back role, let him do work. And I know it's only 4.8 speed there, but he's just so physical. The speed is not what we're focused on here, guys. And I know a lot of people like to look at that stuff, but he's not like, you see only 19 catches there. He's not exactly like the greatest receiver. So really when you're bringing him in, it's the block, because we talk about how good of a blocker he is. But the Eagles will need that in the future. And if this is somebody that falls down in the bottom of the draft, I think Borkshire is somebody I would really be excited about to have on the team. But if we're talking about hybrids here, let's get him out of the way here. And I think up next, you're talking about Nowakowski, who to me, 6'2", 250, another undersized guy, but you can see a funny stat at the bottom, 2 rushes, 2 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, what the hell? But this dude has got great hands. Like, he really is a fun wide receiver. He can actually catch the ball. He can run the ball. He can do things where he didn't drop a single pass. He can really just bulldoze people. His run after the catch is awesome to watch. I think he's got a high football IQ. Another versatile piece, and that's what I'm looking for. And I know he's 23 years old, but I think if you fill him out, I think this guy really could be fun as a tight end and moving around as, a blocker just in certain areas. But, we got to develop a little bit, but you're seeing I've got him in the more so 5th, 6th range. I think a little bit higher than those other guys where he's got a lot of talent, and he's really fun to watch there at Indiana. Obviously a lot of talent there. So not exactly the craziest of stats, but dude, I'm telling you, really fun. Go check him out. Now, up next, you're going to be maybe a little surprised. We're already hitting this guy here, but I really like Eli Stowers a lot. I do. But to me, he's more of a wide receiver. 6'4", 239. And, you know, he looks like a receiver, like a Mike Evans out there. And I know everybody makes that kind of comparison when these big guys go up and catch it. But, you know, he's got great speed, 4.51. You see he's got 12.4 yards per catch, 4 receiving touchdowns. His PFF grade was good, so I know a lot of people like to look at that. I think, you know, maybe some team gets froggy and takes him in the first. I don't know, but I think for me, he's more of a second, third round talent, a former quarterback, so he's got a high football IQ, but he's got damn good route running and hands for somebody that, you know, just became a tight end not long ago. And, you know, he moves all over the place. Again, kind of like a receiver, you know, that big slot kind of guy. So his blocking needs development big time. So to me, we need to find a guy that can catch and block. So that's why I'm getting rid of this receiver type right off the bat here. And look, I'm a big fan of him. I think where he might go, if you're taking him, I don't know that I want to use one of my draft picks on somebody that's a what if. And yeah, that is what it is. But up next, this is definitely going to throw you a curveball here. He's not my number one. He's the number one tight end in this draft, though. And that's Kenyon Sadiq. And 6'3", 241, definitely undersized, but 4'3", 940. He's fun to watch. He's a really fun receiver. And I think that, again, this is the same thing where you talk about, you know, the blocking could use improvement. Again, I hear some people say he can't block. That I don't think that's true. I think he can definitely block. It's just he needs to improve on it. The drops I've seen, don't like that. But, I mean, his athleticism is obviously off the charts, dude, not just his speed. So he's really fun to watch. His ball tracking is awesome. He's got great hands, strong hands. But I just think the drops that he has sometimes are a little concerning when you get to the NFL. I don't know, man. But it looks like he's got a great football IQ, really knows what he's doing, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. I just don't know, you know, he would be a fit here. Like, he would come in with Dallas Goedert. That 12 personnel would be insane. But my point is, I want someone that's going to be part of the future. Now, do I think he could become something? Sure, but he's still only 6'3", 241. So you can't get any taller. And he doesn't necessarily need to be taller. I'm just saying, for me, I think there's other guys in other ranges. I'm not using my first round pick on him. And if he falls in the second, okay, make a move, go get him. So that's kind of where my mind is at. Or maybe you trade back in that first round and you still are able to acquire him. I'm not against that either. But let's keep this train moving here. And look, again, I love Kenyon Sadiq. Don't get me wrong. I'd be ecstatic if we get him. But we're looking at the fits and where we're at here for the show, as we always do. So let's go more toward the mid-range here. We're going 4th, 5th round range, Dae'Quan Wright, where this is a dude who 4.55 speed. Sure, that's not Kenyon Sadiq, but this dude is fun to watch. And he really needs to work on his blocking, or I would have him hired, because holy hell, great route runner. Great hands. I just think when the ball is in his hands, he is so fun to watch. 16.3 yards per reception, 5 receiving touchdowns there. Put the ball in his hands and watch him, and you can move him all over the place. And, you know, kind of like that big slot wide receiver. So 6'4", 246, I think. He's been trying to add on some weight. I think he was maybe 255 when he got weighed at the Senior Bowl. Keep bulking up, dude. Get much better in the blocking department, and I think you've got a bright future. Only thing I worry about in the receiving game is he's had a bunch of drops too. So he's got to get more physical, got to clean that up. But in the later rounds, if he's still available, this is a guy with such amazing talent. Why not take a shot on him? So Dae'Quan Wright, I am definitely a fan of. But there's another guy in that range that if he's still available, a much more limited sample size for this guy, but Khalil Dinkins to me is effing awesome. 6'4", 251. So he's got pretty dang good size. Could be bigger, sure, but 4.72, not the fastest. Okay. Doesn't have all the stats in the world for you, but I think he's an all-around good receiver, a good blocker, everything you want. We're talking about, you know, getting these tight ends that can do it all. I really think that Dinkins is that guy. So, look, again, 22 years old, somebody that only played in, 12 games with only 14 catches here. So, yeah, I get it. But again, I'm talking about this isn't, hey, he's better than Kenyon Sadiq. It's, hey, if he's dropping somewhere, I'm going for a guy that, is an all-around tight end. And he's going to be 24 here soon. So I wrote that down wrong. My apologies. But this is a guy that can block. He's got good hands. He's definitely somebody that, not the most athletic, could definitely use work on his blocking, not the most gifted receiver or anything. But again, this is where if he's dropping, this is somebody I'm willing to take a chance on. You just never know. And with that build, and just go watch him. He's really fun. I wouldn't mind having him. Now up next at number 4, let's go if we passed on the first rounds and we're looking, for that next best. And I think in the 3rd, 4th rounds, if you're looking at a guy like Sam Roush, you got to pull the trigger. And I think to me, 6'6", 267. He's got a 4.7 40. That's not bad for that size, but he's got good hands. He's got good blocking. He's not great at, them. Although I do enjoy his passing game, but I think someone, his athleticism is insane. Some are calling him 6'7". I don't know about that, but either way, he is a giant. And the athleticism for his side is insane. But he can do it all. Another one of those wide tight ends that, we're looking for the ability to block and catch. And I think that this is a guy that will continue to improve. And he's good after the catch. He unfortunately has had drops, though. I would probably have Sam Roush as maybe my top guy because he is just a football player. He is what you're looking for in a tight end. Looks violent out there. It looks like he really just does this thing out there. But you see a 57.1. It just doesn't all come together for some reason. And I'm not sure what that is, if it were Stanford or what. But I just really feel with some of these guys, you try not to just, okay, they have to be like this because this is what it was in college. You never know in the right system. So for me, man, it would be hard to pass on Sam Roush if the other tight ends are gone. I think he's one of the better tight ends in this class, and I would be happy to have him. Now up next, Max Clare. And I battled with these two, Roush and Clare, who I would put over who. And surprisingly, right before I made this show, I put Clare over him. 6'4", 246, so not the biggest tight end out there. Only 4'7", 40, but he's got good hands, got good blocking. He's got both of them, right? That's what I'm looking for with this. He's actually a pretty good route runner, too. And he can actually be used as a vertical threat, which to me, when you have somebody that goes up and gets it, can actually, run routes, has a route tree, can read the coverage. He's got a high football IQ. He's a versatile guy that can move. Again, we're talking about those big slot kind of guys. I think this dude's really fun to watch. He just got to work on that blocking. A lot of these guys do. And I think, not the greatest, if you're looking at tight ends, like he's not the best receiver in this class or anything like that. But I think he is more so a receiving tight end that can block. And I think he's just, to me, watching him, this was, like I said, this was really hard with the tight ends, trying to put this all together because he was just so fun to watch. I can't just look at the PFF grade and the stats and the 40 and his athletic traits and just say, hey, this is it. Like, I want to watch them. And that's, for me, when I went back and watched everybody, that's where it really started to clear things up. Just guys that I really enjoyed watching. And the final two here, maybe, I'm sure, going to be a surprise here, but that's fine. And this number 2 was my number 1 for a while here, but I have changed it. So, look, Eli Raridan out of Notre Dame is somebody that I have just been a fan of. And 6'6", 245, it's kind of hard not to be a fan, right? But this is one of those guys that, he's got 4.62 speed. His athletic profile is nuts. Now, he's going to have to work on his blocking, but I think he's so young, he's got time. It's okay. When they show at least signs of it, that's all I need to see. And I've seen signs, and I just think he's so incredible. He has a high football IQ. Just as a receiver, he is one of those deep threats we talk about. He is it. And this is my favorite tight end throughout, like, pretty much this all season. And I understand, the Sadiq and the Stowers and even the Claires. People like them, and that's fine. But looking in the range of, third, if he goes fourth round, this is going to be so hard to not grab a guy like this. I think that he is one of those guys that is your Y tight end that can play all three downs and just you feel comfortable with it. But he's got to work on that blocking with his height. He doesn't exactly use it to his advantage. He's got some injury concerns too. So I just got a little frisky before I went with him at number 1, and I switched it up. Didn't have any touchdowns, so if you're stat watching, you're not going to like that. But, man, he's really fun to watch, and I think has a really bright future if he stays healthy. But that goes for all of them. If they're injured and not playing, then they probably don't have a bright future. So hope health for him and the rest of the people here. But 2 torn ACLs isn't exactly great. So if he starts falling, I'm taking a shot on him. That's why I've got him here as a number 2 fit. My number 1 fit here today is going to be, and I know you're probably thinking, what the, but Jack Andrews. That's right. My number 1 tight end fit for the Eagles. And we're talking 3rd, 4th round range here. Maybe that final top 100 pick here. 6'5", 245. A 4.6 240, which is pretty damn good for that size, Mr. Jack Andrews. And this is probably, in my opinion, one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver in this class. And he can block, and he blocks well. And I love that. So, to me, you throw the ball up and he goes and gets it. He knows how to, high point it. He knows how to box out. He is a receiver, dude. And when he gets that ball in his hand, his yak is fun too. He is a very physical man. And I just think that one of those guys that does every single thing we talked about with everybody all in one. So you can line him up as that wide tight end. You can line him up as that big slot. You can line him up back as that H-back, fullback type of guy. But he's just really fun to watch. He's somebody that I think, again, I've said can block well. If he continues to improve there, wow. But he's got the size. He's young. And I think that, with development, he's going to be fun. If he works on some maybe more moves when he gets to the NFL, I don't know how much of that yak and running people over he's going to be doing. You got to, translate your game. I think this is somebody that will. But again, work on your blocking, work on your receiving game, but he's an all-around package to me that has everything I'm looking for in a tight end in this draft. And if you go ahead and get yourself an edge, you get yourself, an offensive lineman, a safety in those first few picks, and then with that 4th pick, you grab a tight end like Andrews there, I think that's a damn good draft. So it's all about best player available. I have no idea who's going to be available at those spots. I was just naming 3 of my positions that I feel are up need. And we've got one of those coming up in 2 days here. That's going to be the offensive line. And that'll be it for the offense. Then I'll drop the specialist show. And then, of course, we'll be on to the defense. So, hope you're enjoying the draft series. I can't believe this stuff's flying. It's April's. I can't believe it's here. Obviously, I know the date. It's, do I? But I'm getting old. But the draft is only a few weeks away. My God. So I'm going to keep putting this out. We'll get to the end. I'll give you my guy, but we'll be breaking this all down. Hope to talk to you guys throughout the week. Going to try to do a live one here in the next couple of days. If not, we'll try for the Fan Friday. But all I've got for you here tonight. Hope you're all enjoying yourselves today. Hope you're having a great day, great week. If not, let's make it one. But if you need anything, you can always reach out. Doesn't have to be about the birds. But if you have any questions on this, you have any comments, I would love to hear your thoughts on the tight end position. Leave them down below. If you got anything from this video, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Share this bad boy. Subscribe and join the family. Anything you can do, it truly helps. And I cannot thank you enough for the support. But that is all I've got for you here tonight. So have yourselves a great rest of your evening. But until next time, I am Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. You all stay safe out there, and as always, say with me now, sickos, go Birds!